and I'm still the same. Cause at the end of all the securities, I'll have but just one when you bury me. So the car was packed and the course is set, but of course the course will all forget. My bet's on destiny, down straight, it's okay, long as she's with me. And I'm cruising, and I'm cruising. Hey, I'm on my way. 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 Hey ho, hey ho, hey alley ho. Hey ho, hey ho, hey alley ho. Hey ho, hey ho, hey alley ho. We wanna come around, back around. Now it's time to go. And I'm cruising, and I'm cruising, and I'm cruising, and I'm cruising. Hey, I'm on my way. 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 Hey, mama, hey, mama, wasting. 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 Hey, mama, hey, mama, wasting.
And there you have it. That's Hey, I'm on my way. They call themselves Annie in the Water, and we're going to bring in Brad to talk to us right now. And first thing I'm going to find out from him is why you call yourself Annie in the Water.
How's it going, guys? Can you hear me?
Yeah, we're doing great, thanks, and hope you are as well. Glad to have you here with us. And where did that name come from?
Well, so I've been playing with Mike, the other guitar player, since 2007. We had a week where we were spending some time at my buddy Ricky's cottage up on Wellesley Island in the St. Lawrence River, north of Watertown, New York. So it's like
right,
or the river that kind of divides Canada and New York. And we were just kind of, we were hanging out late the night before we did our first ever recordings, and our friend Annie was just kind of talking about how she worked at a gas dock all summer. She like walked ahead of everybody. She's like, "I'll untie the boat," and just like walked off the edge of the dock and fell in the river, and it was really funny. And we had no name for the band like a couple months later, and it happened to be at the same cottage where we did our first ever recording. So we were just like, what about Annie in the Water? We're like, ah, cool,
awesome.
Yeah, sounds good.
Oh, that is awesome. You're bringing back some great memories, too, because I'm very familiar, being from upstate New York myself, I'm very familiar with those places you named. It. The year that I graduated high school, which we won't go into because that was long ago in a galaxy far away, but the year I graduated high school, a friend of mine and his two brothers, the friend graduated with me, Bill Haggerty, as a matter of fact. We went up to Canada, and we camped out on Wellesley Island for a couple of nights. So, yeah, I'm very familiar with that area. Beautiful, beautiful country, except kind of foreboding in the winter. But that is an amazing story. I'm glad that I asked and that you shared that with me. That is one of those. That's one of those truth is stranger than fiction. I love it. That's a great story, and it's a great name too. I want to also thank Z at the Disruption Network in upstate New York there, who is the guy who turned me on to you guys and told me, hey, these guys are great. You should get them on the show. Well, here you are. So tell us a little bit about how you got to that point where you made your first recording and how you got to where you are now.
Well, it's really cool. For me personally, I grew up moving all over the place. My dad was in the Air Force. And I grew up for the most part in Northern Virginia, where I got into lacrosse, and then lacrosse brought me to Hobart College in Geneva, New York, which is just west of Syracuse. Right. And then my roommate at Hobart was from Watertown. My roommate Ricky, whose cottage I was just talking about, is kind of like my connection to Mike Lachaume, who is the other founding member of the band. And so Mike came to visit. This was the fall before we were at the cottage. He came to visit one night, and we just played. And, we're having a good old time. And we're like, yo, let's do this again this summer. And then we did those few recordings, and we both had a connection to Ohio. My whole family's from Ohio, and then Mike grew up in Ohio. So we have another song called Ohio, which kind of like draws us together. And just through those common roots, we were like, yeah, let's keep doing something like this. So we just kept going with it and kept going, and through a lot of advice from friends and people that came to support us. They're just like, you guys just should never stop because you just make me feel happy when I come and watch and listen. So that's kind of been a good driving force ever since we started putting out any music at all. We're just like, there's every single show is like a little bit different because of the energy there, and whoever's there is contributing some sort of, their presence and their participation in their own way. So it's pretty cool like that. That's kind of like how we got together was through my roommate Ricky Evans.
Well, you guys have a great song. You are right there. That you're on the right track. I love it. You say that you've got an acoustic rock mixed with funky tones, electronic beats, hip-hop, reggae grooves. Yeah, exactly. All of that and more. And it's a working meld. I mean, sometimes people will throw things into a hodgepodge. They can have fun with it. Sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't. But you guys have got a sound that it's strong, it's good, it's commercial without selling out to commercialism, and I really like it. John Bon Jovial, what's your opinion?
Yeah. First of all, hey,
did we
Brad.
wake you?
Well, yes, you woke me up. I was having a nice nap here. Brad, welcome to the show, man. It's great to have you on. I'm listening to your song. I'm on my way, and I found myself unconsciously, if you will, or subconsciously tapping my foot to it. So that's kind of an endorsement right there, because I really, really enjoyed it. And I like some of the influences that I'm hearing in there, and I don't know if this was on purpose or if it just kind of accidentally happened, but I'm hearing some influence of a band from the 70s called the Hughes Corporation, and also I heard a little bit of the happiness that you hear from Sly and the Family Stone. And wow,
Yeah.
you've really mixed this thing up nicely. And while I realize your production techniques were probably completely digital, it almost sounds like it's an analog recording, which is another reason why I like it.
Dude, thank you very much, man. Yeah, we did. We honestly, for me, with the actual, if we're gonna try to put a song into like a form and release it, we really, really try to get the live feel. So we did all of the rhythm first, like the drums and the bass and the rhythm guitar was all done at the same time, and then we kind of layered the other stuff on top of it. And we're actually working on getting a live album mixed right now from a couple shows from the summertime, which is really cool. I really think our live energy is where it's at, instead of trying to layer stuff to like a metronome or something like that. So if you actually do try to time it with the metronome, our drummer Rippy he's really solid. He's like as close to a human metronome as you could get with all the flavors and everything. So it's very, very blessing to be playing with him, but it's really, really awesome to get that live vibe in there.
Well, it's real obvious that your drummer's working his butt off in this thing. He did a nice job. Everybody does a nice job, but the drum line is so prevalent and not at all audibly in the way, which is one of the nice things about the way the drummer carries. To me, carries the tune, and it's nice to hear that because that's hard to do.
Right. Yeah, it's like I can't remember. I think it's the Muscle Shoals documentary. Have you ever seen that?
Yes.
Yeah,
indeed.
so you remember there was just like a part where one of the blues guys, he's just like, yeah, man, when you get everybody in a groove and you're just, you're feeling off each other, it's really kind of easy. But it takes that focus and it takes that like full tuned into each other to feel it. But I definitely find myself in a position, gratefully, at this point where who we have in the group is like it's very, very effortless. And we're all really good at playing with gigantic ears and like really hearing each other. So there's very, 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 very few times where it's not like very cohesive all the time, which is like really amazing. It's a
I
good
can see
experience
that, and I can hear where you're able to grab a crowd. I'm not surprised when you say that you really get into the live performances because you got, judging from that track we just listened to, you've got a grabber sound that has that feel. It's going to stir people up. It's going to get them up off their chairs and stomping their foot and doing a little yelling along with you. And I think that's great. I do want to inject at this point. Now you were working on a possible live album. I want you to keep in touch with us because perhaps when you get that out ready to go, we can get you back here to debut it and share a track or two from that because if it's anything like what we've just listened to, we want to hear more from you.
Yeah, no, I appreciate that, man, and definitely thank you for having me on in the first place. It's pretty awesome to connect with you guys. And Z was singing your praises too. He's like, who you got to connect with? Definitely David Bowers. I was like, all right, who's David Bowers? And I'm like, all right, cool.
Who is he?
Question I asked all the time.
Guys, man. Really appreciate it. And then John Bon Jovial as well, man. Thank you guys. I appreciate it.
Yeah, I grew up in that area. Well, I grew up a little anyway. I aged some there, and I didn't really meet Z until it was probably about 10, 15 years ago when he and Joe were doing the Utica Music and Arts Festival. I was co-hosting another show at the time, and went down and did a live gig from the Hotel Utica during the Utica Music and Arts Festival, and that's where I actually got to meet Z for the first time, and we've sort of hung together ever since. I've had some people go to his show. He recommends people to me, and when he does, I listen, and I'm glad I did because all I had to do was hear this track by you, and I said, yes, we definitely want them on the show. Now you're on a fall tour right now, and what have you got besides a possible live album,